Hi Karima, it's nice to have you here at the AUC Future Gallery, and you'll be talking to us a little bit about your book, Messages from Tahrir. Would you be able to begin by explaining how you got this idea to do this book?
Well, thanks Ingrid. I was not in Egypt on the 25th of January, I was abroad, and I flew back into Cairo on the night of the 28th, Friday the 28th. And because of everything that was going on that day and all the street battles and the battles with the police and the security forces, the road wasn't safe between the airport and my house, so I spent the night at the airport. I went home early the next morning and immediately changed my clothes and went to Tahrir to see what was going on. Within the first few minutes of stepping into Tahrir at about 9 o'clock in the morning, there were hundreds of thousands of people there who'd spent the night from the night before. And the first thing I saw, I walked into the square and I saw this man. I don't know how well you can see this picture, but he's holding up a sign. He was standing very quietly in the middle of a crowd of people, and his sign says, I used to be afraid and then I became Egyptian. And I just found this message incredibly powerful, and I thought, oh my God, I had no idea people were holding up signs that had such emotive messages. So I took this photograph, and then I walked a little bit more, and then I found another sign. I found a man holding his son on his shoulders. And that was this man holding his son on his shoulders, and his sign says, I don't want to be another Khalid Said. Khalid Said, of course, was the young man who was beaten to death in June 2010 in Alexandria, and whose disfigured face was, after his death, was posted everywhere on the internet, and which really sparked the simmering outrage that Egyptians had felt for decades against the sort of routine police torture and systematized police brutality. So I took those two photographs and I wandered around the square a bit more, and I took hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photographs of signs eventually, and I felt that these really expressed people's hopes that had been buried inside them for decades. The messages were very evocative, they were very emotional, they were very determined, some were very mournful, some were very grief-stricken. As the days passed, some became funny, some became sarcastic. They're very rooted in a lot of Egyptian cultural references. They drew on Egyptian poetry, on Egyptian popular sayings, on jokes, on religious verses, both from the Quran and from the Bible. And I felt that they really expressed something that we as Egyptians had really never seen before in public in such a determined political statement. Of course, there were thousands and thousands of signs that simply said go or leave, and they said this in many different ways. Other signs said different messages, and that's why I called the book Messages and not